Unmute you.
Good evening, members. Welcome to Sandwich Town Council Extraordinary Meeting of the Council, 28th of July 2025. So agenda item 1 is Chair's opening remarks, and I've just got 2 remarks that I'd like to cover. So firstly, I just want to give an update on the recruitment process for the Town Clerk and the Finance Officer. So the closing date for applications was Friday, the 18th of July. Interviews of candidates for the role of a Town Clerk will be undertaken on Wednesday, the 6th of August. The HR committee will then meet the following evening to review the outcome of those interviews. And the point of that is to flag up, we will have a need to convene an extraordinary meeting of the full Town Council before we notify the candidates of the results. That's something we've previously signed up to as a council, so we should keep to that. So that means it's very likely we will be calling a short, and I guarantee a short, STC on the 14th of August. So you can pencil that in your diaries. There are some assumptions there that obviously the people invited aren't on holiday.
Yeah, they'll be away.
Yeah, and that they turn up, or councillors who've got enough available. But by keeping the pace, and the key thing is to keep the pace around this, is if we do that, we can ensure that we have a period of handover between the existing Town Clerk and the successful candidate, if there is one, for the Town Clerk's role. Okay. So the second thing I wanted to mention was the STC magazine. The second edition came out recently, and I just really wanted to flag up that there has been quite an amount of positive feedback received around the publication from several residents. But I suppose more importantly, it's encouraging to see that people are coming forward willing to volunteer for some of the items that we've put in there. So, for example, Fishergate, there was an article on the refurbishment of Fishergate and the project that we want to do around that. And there have been 9 people who've put their hands up. And hopefully they'll follow through when we get to the stage of actually wanting to do some work there. We've received 2 inquiries about allotments. Again, that was another item that was in the magazine. And we've had 1 inquiry about the speed watch scheme. I just wanted to, again, recognise that all of the work on the magazine is very much down to Lindsay. She's the key person responsible for pulling together all the articles. And as I say, very positive feedback I'm certainly receiving around the communication itself. Thank you very much. We can move on to agenda item 2. Town Clerk, have we any apologies for absences received?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So Councillor Martin Pennington has a travel commitment, and Councillor Dean Marie wanted to advise he will be late.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 3. Sorry.
I've received another apologies. Councillor Black tried to contact the office to say he's either going to be late or he won't get here at all.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes, he did send me a message on my phone, but it does a voice recording of the message and prints it out, and it's the worst, most ineligible message I've ever received. So it's about spot the dog, apparently, on the message. I don't know quite what he was trying to say. Moving on to agenda item 3, declarations of interest. This is to receive any declarations of disposable pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda this evening. Do we have any? No, thank you very much. Okay, agenda item 4. Minutes of the full council meeting and committees for us to review and approve. So the first one, attachment 1. We've been asked to approve the minutes of the ordinary meeting of STC held on the 23rd of June 2025 and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in the agenda. And that's attachment 1. Councillor Carter, P.
I'm quite happy to approve those minutes.
Okay. Somebody happy to second them? Councillor Franklin, we take a vote. And that's in favour. Thank you very much. Second, to receive the minutes of the Planning Committee meeting held on 9th of June 2025, and that's attachment 2. Any comments from anybody? No. Somebody happy to propose? Councillor Carter P again, and Councillor Franklin again.
And everyone voting.
And I'm
Yeah.
in favour as well. And everybody, one abstention.
One abstention. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. To receive the minutes of the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting held on the 18th of June 2025.
Happy to propose.
Thank you.
Happy to second.
Sorry, who's second there? Is it Councillor Paul Carter?
And the votes?
1, 2,
Three,
3
four,
abstentions.
three,
abstentions.
yeah, three, five.
5. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, attachment 4 to receive the minutes of the Human Resources Committee meeting held on the 13th of June and 24th of June 2025. So that's looks like attachments 4 and 5 to me. Just a quick check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is 4 and 5. Any
I'm
comments?
happy to propose those as well as that
Yeah.
both meetings.
And I'm happy to second. And the votes?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 abstentions. Thank you.
Okay, finally, to receive the minutes of the Heritage and Townscape Committee meeting held on the 21st of May 2025, and that's attachment 6 in your pack. Councillor Morehouse is proposing, and Councillor Mallet is seconding. And the votes?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 abstentions. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to agenda item 5, payment schedules. First of all, we've been asked to receive and note the payments for the end of June and those that missed the mid-June 20.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, that's July. It should
is it
say
June?
July. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll rerun that again. Hopefully nobody heard me the first time.
Yeah.
To receive and note the payments for the end of June.
July.
Oh, end of July.
Yeah,
You sure?
yeah.
Read it again.
And those that missed.
Three times. Let's have another go. To receive and note the payments for the end of July and those that missed the mid-July
July.
2025 payment schedule. These payments, which are not supported by a minute reference, have been authorised by officers with delegated powers of expenditure. Any comments on those? To note from Councillor Franklin, Councillor Breen seconding. No, he's got a comment. So he got a comment first.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I may, because I'm just trying to pull the payment schedule up that when I
Okay.
looked at it earlier. One of the payments was a payment to the investment manager for the Georgina Maddox Fund for just over £540,000. And that's going to be discussed in the Maddox paper later on this evening, where we've got the suggestion there is to round it down to £540,000 exactly. But on reflection, I think it would be better, given that we've been given kind of the green light to make interim fund awards, to round it down further to £500,000. So that would give us an extra £40,000 along with the £40,000 we currently are holding in respect of Maddox to be able to fund interim grant awards. So I think just the approval of that payment should be deferred until we've had that debate later on.
Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we'll debate the proposal under that agenda item and then we can reflect back. So, as we've been asked to receive a note, Councillor Franklin has done that with the one caveat that we've now got.
Yeah.
Somebody seconding. Councillor Green, we vote on that.
2 abstentions.
2 abstentions.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Council to confirm nomination of 2 signatories to authorise end of July payment schedules on Bankline. I am 100% now set up, so I'm happy to put my name forward this time. Is anybody else happy to?
I don't mind.
No. Councillor Franklin.
Councillor Franklin.
Thank you very much. Can we vote on that?
Is everybody in favour of that? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Agreed. Yeah.
And similarly, council to confirm nomination of 2 signatories to authorise mid-August and end of August payment schedules on bank line. I'm happy to do that as well. And Councillor Franklin, happy to vote on that. That's unanimous as well. Yep, thank you very much. Finally, council to confirm nomination of 2 signatories to authorise mid-September payment schedule on bank line.
Councillor
Are you
Wiles.
happy to put your name, Councillor Wiles
Yeah,
and Councillor Franklin?
Franklin.
Vote on that. Thank you very much.
You? Yeah. All in agreement? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 6, public participation. 20-minute session is available for members of the public to make representations at the meeting in respect of the business on the agenda and other matters if time permits. Do we have any speakers?
Yes, we have one request. Christina Glynn, Mr. Mayor.
I think you know where to go.
Good evening. I am addressing you tonight both in relation to the agenda for this meeting and to previous minutes and agendas. I am concerned that a number of actions have been kicked down the road with partial oversight, and that the longer this continues, the more difficult it will be for STC to exercise good governance and for officers to catch up, especially in view of staff changes. Whilst I am aware some councillors will know of some lapsed actions, I am concerned for visibility at full council level, transparency to the public, and staff ability and capacity to catch up. Standing Order 439 states, minutes shall include an action list which shall be tracked under matters arising at the following meeting. However, minutes rarely include an action list. Both FNGP and H&T minutes presented this evening reference action logs, but updated logs are not presented to full council with the minutes. And I cannot remember when I last saw an action log attached to full council minutes, despite several lapsed actions causing concern as follows. Firstly, at the annual meeting of the council in May, the review of a number of policies and procedures was deferred to June 25 per reference ATCM 05-2518, namely Standing Order 424P, the complaints procedure, Standing Order 424Q, policies, procedures and practices in respect of the council's obligations under freedom of information and data protection legislation, Standing Order 424R, policy for dealing with the press and media, Standing Order 424S, employment policies and procedures. However, despite there being 2 full council meetings in June, the above items were not included on the agendas and have not been listed on an outstanding actions list for tonight's meeting. They have dropped out of sight altogether, and we have no idea when these reviews will now take place. Secondly, I addressed FNGP in June concerning financial reports that were missing from the agenda, namely the bank reconciliation, cash book and budget variance report to the end of May. My speech is noted in the minutes, and the chair of FNGP referenced the missing reports verbally at the start of the July FNGP meeting, saying there is a systems issue and that officers hope to be able to produce the missing reports in September. The same reports are missing from full council agendas and minutes, yet they have not been included on an action list in line with SO 439 for either FNGP or full council. The review of these reports is an important internal control, yet the last reports to be reviewed by FNGP and full council were to the end of April, and it is now 3 months later, at the end of July. Thirdly, the FOI publication scheme on the STC website remains incomplete as at today's date. STC had a publication scheme that met FOI requirements prior to migrating to the new website. Sadly, this was lost early 2024, which was acknowledged at the annual meeting of the council in May 24, and an action recorded, reference ATCM 05-2418, to address the issue on May 20th, whereupon STC agreed a proposal, reference STC 05-2413, that was minuted as follows. To adopt the publication scheme for STC and for the town clerk to ensure all the relevant information was uploaded to the website promptly, including URLs to the ICO website. The proposal put to STC has been published to the website. However, This is not of itself a publication scheme. Important information stipulated by the ICO for council publication schemes remains missing, in addition to some information listed in the proposal itself, and yet progress towards meeting STC's statutory obligations in this regard has not been and is not being monitored by an action log attached to the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Christina, are you happy to either leave that or
Yes,
email
sorry,
it?
I've got loads of copies.
I'd be disappointed if you hadn't.
Well, sometimes I haven't, but if you
Thank
pass on to the town
Okay,
clerk.
so what I will do is I will review this with the town clerk
Thank you.
and primarily the F&GP chair, and we'll look at what we need to do over the coming weeks.
I'm sure those.
I'm happy to make a comment on
Yes, please. Yes, please.
in relation to the actions on the Finance and General Purposes Committee. Councillors will remember that at the last Sandwich Town Council meeting, I was appointed as the council auditor, and I have met again since the last F&GP meeting with the RFO, and I have got the bank reconciliation statement and the resets and payment cash book for May. What's basically happened by way of explanation, in the urgency to get the accounts for Sandwich Town Council published before she left, the last RFO focused on that, which was the right thing to do. But in doing so, completing the accounts for the Toll Bridge Fund has suffered. And as such, because all of the payments, the way the system works, the reconciliation statements feed the bank account, and the bank account feeds the accounts and the various things. So there is some catching up that needs to be done. Looking at it, I don't see any payments that are kind of alarming or anything on the bank reconciliation statement that I've seen for May. The RFO has told me that at the beginning of next month, he will close July and therefore will be able to publish the bank reconciliation statements and so forth for June for Sandwich Town Council. But until such time as he's caught up and prepared the accounts for Sandwich Toll Bridge Fund and closed those accounts, the actual variance statements and the variance forecasts and those reports won't be available, but we're hoping to have those in place by September the 1st.
Thank you, Councillor Breen. Okay, we can move on to agenda item 7, local government reorganisation, transfer of assets. This is a report I've prepared for members this evening. Just a quick, I'm not going to go through what is a very detailed report, and I hope all members have read, consumed and come to a view on this, but we've previously discussed the transfer of assets from DDC to STC, and this report that I presented to you this evening provides a background to this, the action taken so far, and it offers an assessment of what assets we might want to seek a discussion with DDC on regarding STC taking ownership of. The assessment that's in front of you was discussed at F&GP committee at 2 separate meetings, and members are now being asked to consider this assessment, so we may have a baseline to take to DDC. We have a meeting arranged for the 31st of July, which will involve myself, Councillor Breen as chair of F&GP, the town clerk and the property manager. And that is a meeting with Kevin Mills as leader of DDC, and also we've asked for relevant officer or officers involved in terms of the discussion. In agreeing the list that's in front of you, and we can open up the conversation in a minute regards what's been highlighted, I just want to run through a few, and this is really key for me. There are a number of considerations that we all need to be really aware of in terms of how we move this forward. So if you move to the final page, bar 1, the penultimate page, those considerations are listed, but I do want to repeat them. So Sandwich Town Council will need to provision budget for professional advice on the terms of transfer, the legal transfer of ownership itself, possible costs relating to structural maintenance surveys, environmental health checks, insurance and future maintenance costs, and whatever else I haven't thought of. So what I'm trying to say is, even starting from a base camp point, there will be costs in any assets we might deem we want to take over if DDC are willing to let us do so. We also need to be really aware that the town council needs to have the legal power to manage the assets. Or if it does not, what legal structure will enable us to manage it? So within the report, I've made reference to owning and operating a car park. So if we put rules as it stands in terms of the powers we've got as a parish council, those rules can be broken by anybody parking in the car park, and we won't be able to enforce them. So we may well need a legal framework that we will have to pay for and oversee and obviously manage. We also need to make sure that any assets that we look to have transferred to us is subject to covenants or overages applied by DDC or previous owners of those assets. They may, and again, it's another investigation that will need to be undertaken, because what we can't do is blindly accept an asset without making sure those checks are undertaken. And then the final two things, which is the outward looking piece. If we take any assets on, there will be a cost. We need to appreciate this may well lead to an increase in the preset to fund the future cost of ownership for any assets transferred. Within the report, it provides some examples of increases of preset. So we can't, Councillor Marie, if you'd like to come in, we can't blindly accept an asset without impacting the potential future costs of those. And then finally, if we do come to a point where DDC are happy to discuss any assets being transferred, and that's a big question in itself, we should, I would recommend, engage with the community if we're going to take any of those assets over. We shouldn't necessarily, just as a group of councillors, make those decisions without, in some shape or form, consulting with our community. So I just wanted to make those clear. This isn't an easy task, and I've said before in FNGP, and I think I've said it here as well, any assets, DDC have a right to say no. They also have a right to say, yes, but you will have to pay to buy it. There is a transfer cost involved. So it's not a simple journey from where we are here today to where we want to go. So with all those health warnings, I'm happy to open up for discussion. We went through a prioritisation led by Councillor Breen. They're reflected here, but I know there's one question mark, certainly from Councillor Gray, regards one that we didn't score. So maybe Councillor Gray, do you want to start off first?
Yes, I'm confused with this list because the key appears to appear twice. Once the sandwich key with no exit against it, and further down it mentions sandwich key with Sandwich Town Council, which presumably refers to the key toilets. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I would say that certainly I think that the key itself should be on the list on the priority interest list. I think it's very important that it is. There's no commitment made at the moment, of course, but I think it's something we should, the town council, be investigating. And I think the key should include the key green as well.
Okay, so you're clarifying the scope of the extent, so it's the key as we would understand where the medieval centre is, but then to include the green as well. So that's a proposal you're putting forward.
I've also spoken to the Medieval Trust and to the Bolton Commission, and both bodies agree with me that we should pursue the possibility of the key being transferred to the council. So I would like to see the key added on the list
as a priority
interest.
Councillor Morehouse.
Could I just ask if the Lord's play area would be treated as a separate entity?
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, it is actually
It is
listed as a
mentioned.
separate area.
It is mentioned
Yeah.
separately.
Yeah, and in the, Councillor Green can correct me, but I think we made a decision within the FNGP that we didn't want to pursue the play parks as a priority item.
Yeah, but we did express secondary interest.
Yeah. So it is separate, is the answer to the question that you've asked. Councillor Wiles, did you have?
I mean, I agree with Councillor
Yes.
Gray. The key is integral to the town, its identity, tourism, everything else. It's an empty space at the moment, more or less, and yet everyone has a vision of, tennis barges and such like, heritage ships being there. But the key is a major engineering structure. So we would need to be clear about what the both the income and the potential liabilities might be in the future. And there's already been discussion recently about weeds and so on growing from the masonry. What's the long-term financial implications?
Thank you. Councillor Murray.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry I was late. I was working. I have been listening to it on live on YouTube, so it's fine. I've caught up kind of. Just to be clear, we had the SGP meeting regarding the assets. Just had council to be wary of the costings as well with all the ones. I agree with Councillor Gray with the key green, but if we take the Walk play park, then we'd have to take all 3 play parks. So we have to look into that as well.
Yeah, thank
Councillor
you.
Frampton.
Yeah, I completely agree with it, Keith. We used to have a good income from that. I mean, it's 50 years ago Dover District Council was formed. 30 years ago, 30 years, Sandwich actually had all the income. And suddenly 20 years ago, Dover got greedy and they said they wanted the income. They spent all that money on that report, didn't they? It was over £30,000, which we didn't really get the report, it was all suddenly quiet.
Yeah.
So I think that's all gone by the by now. They're not going to spend a couple £100,000, put all the facilities in. But I think the stonework's pretty good. And got them pontoons. I think that's going soon, isn't it? That big pontoon. But I think it's only little tidying up, like pointing and those weeds. The Port and Haven clear that, the Highway Marine. So it's only mine. They just want spraying it and then a little bit pointing.
Thank you. We'll come back to that because I've got a proposer and probably a seconder on that being added in as a priority. We'll come back to that. Any other comments on the report itself?
Oh, listen, I was just going to say,
Yeah.
I think Dover District Council, anything about car parks, I think they're interested in keeping the car parks, aren't they? Because there's income. Does that mean they're going to keep the Barbican because there's income there because it's part of the housing association? But there's 2 apartments at the Barbican, isn't there?
It's not on the list.
Not on the list.
No, it's not on the list. But I'd say that they'd probably keep them anyway. And it's just wondering what they're going to keep. They're going to let us have the Guildhall because it's going to cost a lot of money. We're going to get the Barbican because that's got income coming in as well.
So the very clear view that's been expressed across a number of district councils is that revenue generating assets, which includes car parks, are not something that will be easily let go. Yesterday I met with the chair of Birchington Council in a gathering, and they're very much looking to take on a car park, but similarly in Thanet District Council, their view is that no revenue generated such car parks will be passed down to parish councils. Councillor Marie.
Just quickly, obviously the free council car parks are run by DVC. However, we own the back car park, the Guildhall.
We do.
So we need to double check that because I do know the lease is up next January.
It is.
So we need to discuss whether we're going to take ownership of that or we're going to have to speak to DVC.
Yeah.
But obviously this is probably going to be on the back burner because of the asset.
Yeah. Thank you. So, good evening, Councillor.
Apologies.
No, don't worry. That's fine. We did get a message of something. Yeah.
Yes.
Councillor Breen.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've obviously got a list from DDC and from the comments about the Barbican, it's obviously not necessarily correct. So maybe we should be a bit more forthright in publishing that to all councillors so that people can actually see what's on the table. We've only got a list from DDC. What about the assets that are owned by KCC in the town? I'm thinking about the library and the schools and other things. And I'd just like to re-emphasise what you were saying, because I'm concerned with this, that DDC are going to come, if we express interest in car parks or play areas or whatever the asset, they're going to come with a truckload of data and information that's going to be really difficult for us to analyse. And then we've got to prepare a business case. And we don't necessarily have the resources, and we need to think about the legal support that we might need and other financial expertise that we might need to draft those, and surveying to go out and do condition surveys of the assets. So there is an awful lot. But for me, there's a lot of things that are kind of flexible and negotiable. Why can't we have the assets and lease them back to them, just like the car park? Why can't we get legal entitlement to the assets, but let them operate it? You know, that's a negotiating position. We're not like most councils, because there is some resources behind Sandwich Town Council emanating out of the toll bridge. That, you know, there is an option to do more things with there. And obviously the sensitivity about the precept, because you've talked about increasing the precept, but surely within their calculations, they must be able to show the impact on the council tax of the various assets. So we should be able to get more information. So yes, we're supposed to meet with them, and I think it's important that we feed back to the council as a full. Maybe some of that needs to be done in a confidential environment if we're actually discussing.
Thank you. So I think the first step is that meeting on the 31st, and you're involved in that meeting, Councillor Breen, which is helpful. You're coming along to that. As it stands at the moment, I think we have a priority list that we want to discuss. We need to see what the initial response is, whether it is a truckload of information they're going to give us, or whether it's something else. It might be a set of questions they want us to prepare. We don't know that yet, but there's a proposal from Councillor Gray to have the key included in the priority and seconded by Councillor Franklin. If we're happy to move on from that and vote on that basis, that we accept the report as it is, empower those names that I've made in terms of meeting with DDC on the 31st of August with the caveat of the key being shown as a priority item, then we can move on from this item. Is anybody happy to propose that on that basis? Councillor Morehouse and Councillor Franklin, and that's with the caveat of including the key as a priority item. Is it voting, or is it going to change anybody's views? No, okay, thank you. So we could vote on that.
Yep.
I'm going to abstain if the vote is to empower me. I don't think I should be voting to empower myself.
One abstention. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. As we've had two late arrivals, I know you both were arriving late. Could I just check on tonight's agenda? Are there any pecuniary interests that you need to declare on the agenda?
No.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 8, Georgina Maddox Fund updates and recommendations from the Maddox Charity Management Committee. This is to appraise members on the latest advice received from consultants on establishing the Maddox Charity Incorporated organisation, the ability of the council to award interim grants while the charity arrangements are being finalised, and the key points from the first meeting the Maddox Charity Management Committee held on the 30th of June. And we will have some decisions that we need to consider towards the end of this report. Can I just check who's talking to this report? Is it Councillor Breen?
No.
Thank you.
To talk to
Yes,
this
thank you
report.
very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First up, I'd like to remind everybody that on the 15th of August, it will be Georgina's 4th anniversary. And I think we should, as a council, given that her legacy is worth over £3.1 million, make sure that, you know, we provide a bunch of flowers to her headstone and go down there. So that is on the 15th of August, and I think that's something that the council should do this year and every year in respect of their kind of legacy. The second thing I'd like to say is that this meeting was already originally scheduled to be a meeting of the town council as the trustee of Maddox. So I think we just need to respect that and take some time on the matters that we want to discuss here tonight. So you will remember the background, just going through the background, we appointed Levix in October 2024. They made a submission to the Charity Commission for us with our approval in early 25. That was rejected by the Charity Commission. They've taken their time, they've dragged their heels. People feel a little bit disappointed with their performance, and now they're proposing some revised wordings, which we will get to. So we've got Levix, and because of our concerns about Levix, we instructed the town clerk as a council to approach Girling's solicitors. Levix are accountants, Girling's are solicitors who have a specialist partner who deals with charities. So we've got a report from her that we'll be going through later on. The third thing is that we also suggested to the town clerk it would be an idea to approach the Charity Aid Foundation for help with drafting the CIO, the Charity Incorporation document. But the Charities Aid Foundation said they didn't do that type of work, but posted us towards a company called Locality. And Locality are a not-for-profit organisation with about 50 people. Their top earners are 70,000, so it's very much a do-good organisation. And when we had an exploratory conversation with them, they first up asked, why don't you put the monies with Kent Community Foundation? Let them manage everything for you. And so we asked them to prepare a report on the benefits of proceeding with the charity or going with Kent Foundation. So we'll be talking about that. Okay, so that's the background to what we want to discuss. So first up is Levix. And as I say, Levix have amended the object clause on the basis that the charity would only give out to other charities, which is a bit restrictive because a lot of the organisations that do good within Sandwich are not kind of registered charities. But it would put a lot of kind of emphasis on us. So they've proposed some revised wordings, and they've recommended that the registration process would be assisted if we provided a grant-giving policy. And finally, they said that it would be good when we apply again if we can define what we mean by the area of Sandwich. So those are the kind of the key points from Levix. Before we move on to the Girling's stuff, has anybody got any questions about Levix?
So just one question about Levix. If we're unhappy with their advice and they're giving further advice, which is building on their previous advice, which was failing, then is this advice valid? I mean, are we, should we listen to them?
Well, that's a good point. But when we come to the advice from Girling's, the solicitors, they say that it's likely to fail, and they set out 4 reasons. They say in section 3D of their report that it's our opinion that the new suggested wording remains unlikely to be acceptable to the Charity Commission for 4 reasons. And they've set out those 4 reasons. Firstly, they say that the wording generally remains unclear. The change to it being grant making does not make it the objects charitable. It would be wise to retain the ability of the charity to act as a charity, an operational charity, not just one that's giving out to other charities. And it's saying that whilst the grant-making policy that Levick's provided, the trustee body needs to assess whether the application meets clearer objects or wording would assist with this. So what they're saying, what the solicitor is saying is it's unlikely to pass. And that really summarises what our friends Girlings are saying. So we sent some questions to Kent Community Foundation and we asked them various questions as to what they do. And basically they've got about £30 million invested. They take out 5% every year and they distribute it out according to the various funds that they've got. So they could set up a separate fund for Georgina Maddox and they would effectively, it's just like outsourcing the operation of the charity to Kent Community Foundation. They would look after all of the grant applications, the grant evaluations, all of the paperwork to do with the regulatory and the administration of the body. They would look after all of the investment. But for that, they charge 1.5% or capped at £15,000 of the fund that you initially put in, and they charge 1.5% a year. So they would draw out, if we've got £3 million in this fund, they take out endowments of 5% or 150,000 a year. They then would want £45,000 a year to run and administer the fund, and 105,000 a year would be available for grant giving. The other thing is that once we actually, if we were to transfer the monies to Kent Community Foundation, it's an irrevocable gift. So if we had an emergency and we needed to withdraw out monies to, say, potentially buy a car park or whatever, we wouldn't be able to do it. They assume control of the money.
I don't know whether now is the moment to talk to my colleagues as a recipient of Kent Community Foundation grant, two in fact, as a trustee of the Jubilee Centre, or whether you want to continue to summarise the
As you wish, always happy to take a break.
Okay, well, I would like to talk about the Kent Community Foundation. And this is my experience as a trustee of the Jubilee Centre. As a trustee of the Jubilee Centre, I should say that the Jubilee Centre is currently in receipt of two Kent Community Foundation grants. One through Royal St George's, who have committed their grant funding monies to the Kent Community Foundation, who administer their charitable funding. And the other grant is a grant for which I applied, which comes out of the general Kent Community Foundation pot. And at the moment, there's a maximum of £5,000, and we managed to get £5,000 for core costs for the Jubilee Centre. And it's very difficult, actually, to find grant givers who do fund core costs, and that is one of the great advantages of the Kent Community Foundation. as an applicant, I've been extremely impressed by the Kent Community Foundation. I've also been to funding conferences run by an organisation which Kent Community Foundation fund called Funding for All, at which Kent Community Foundation has made presentations, and they've been extremely useful. In order to get a Kent Community Foundation grant, they have a procedure which involves interviews and meetings with applicants, and I was very impressed when they came to visit the Jubilee Centre to talk to myself and other Jubilee Centre trustees. I felt they listened to what we wanted to do. They were very sympathetic to our mission. I was pleased with the helpful advice that we were given as far as the application process was concerned. I should add that I've since met a number of recipients of other Kent Community Foundation grants. For example, I was talking over the weekend, it so happens, with the person who runs the Institute Youth Club. And she said to me quite spontaneously, of course, we get Kent Community Foundation grants, and that's wonderful. And I said, yes, I agree, because other recipients are impressed by their procedures and processes. I should add also that it seems to me that we need to avoid a politicised process. And as a council, that is, I think, inevitable, that if we run these processes, getting grants and so on, and I use the term political with a little p, I'm talking about power and influence. We're in a small town. I think the further that kind of decision making about those important sums of money, which are for many organisations in Sandwich existential, they wouldn't exist without these grants. So the pressure will be enormous on the council. So I would be very keen to have an unpoliticised, with a small p, process, and I think the Kent Community Foundation offers that. And when Councillor Green outlined the costs, the actual monetary costs of working with the Kent Community Foundation, I did hear some comments behind me saying, oh, that's far too much. But we have already, as a council, considered the possibility of actually having to employ somebody who would administer the grant, the fund. Mm-hmm. And I feel that the equivalent experience in this council to run a large fund like this, compared to the experience that there exists within the Kent Community Foundation, frankly, there's no competition. They are experienced over many years. They have trustees who are also I have confidence in them. So I do think that we have to take account of, if we try and run it, it may cost £45,000 in total, or something similar to it, to employ an administrator of the fund. I think we will have trouble trying to be unpolitical with a little p, and we don't have the experience to do it. And so I would very strongly recommend that we consider the Kent Community Foundation as an extremely serious contender. And I would also add, in relation to what Councillor Green just said about how we would be committing this fund forever, that we don't actually have to put all the money into the Kent Community Fund, into the pot that Kent Community Foundation manages. We could presumably retain a little if we want to retain some discretion.
Thank you. Right,
yeah.
so Councillor Franklin.
Yeah, thank you. I'm totally against it. I mean, Georgina was a local woman. Yeah. She gave the money to the town council to look after, not someone up in Maidstone or somewhere in North Kent. What they know about our little local charities and the little things that we want to do. It should be a local committee. It's not, you're not talking about the amount of money on the interest every year. You're talking about hiring an auditor, you're hiring probably a part-time secretary, a bit like the Port and Haven do. And then you have a volunteer committee. Where's the cost? There's hardly any cost. And it'll be local. And I think we should just keep it local in Sandwich.
Thank you. Councillor Murray.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councillor Franklin. We had a discussion at the charity committee meeting that we were going to seek to possibly employ an administrator ourselves. It's run within the charity, so they run it, so we keep it in house. I mean, Sandwich Town Council has run the Talbot Fund. We are the trustee of the Talbot Fund. We've run that for over 40 years. So, and regarding the political side of things, what Councillor Anderson said, I totally disagree with that, because I myself, Councillor Mallet and Councillor Morehouse, we run events in the town. We always keep them apolitical, and I do feel as a trustee we will be trustees for the Maddox thing. We can be that sense. We can run it in house.
Thank you.
Can I just check that 45,000? That's the 1.5%
Of the fund,
of the
of
fund.
the investment fund.
But of course, it won't stay at 45,000. It'll be dependent on the size of the fund. And if the fund increases, we're there for it.
Yeah.
But has anyone been able to do a costing, even a rough costing, as to what it would cost to run it ourselves compared to them? Now, there are advantages in them in the sense, and as we've heard before from Councillor Anderson, that they're professionals, I think. But we've heard the other side is that, a little bit remote, or potentially could be remote, although this may or may not be the case. My concern is that the 45k, unless if that is significantly more than what it would cost to run it ourselves, then it's a non-starter. But have we been able to do any realistic costs about this? And that is the concern that I have. Otherwise, I think this is a very good system. And if they're experienced, then they've got a lot of expertise and can use the benefits of other charities, then it should be followed.
Well, thank you for those comments, and just to respond to some of the points, I think I should make clear that while they would manage all of this, they are quite happy for the ultimate decisions in grant giving to rest with the council. They're also very happy to get to know Sandwich and to have this fund only for Sandwich, and to meet on an annual basis with all of the organisations of Sandwich. So it would be ring fenced to Sandwich. In terms of what they're proposing, this is their initial starting position. We could try and negotiate from it. We could put less money into the pot. We could say it's a big fund at 1.5 or 3 million, giving 150,000 a year. Can you reduce it to 1%? And yes, when we actually look at the running costs, because we are all volunteers, but other local Sandwich organised charities employ a clerk, and the clerk is part-time. Yeah, and that costs about
4 meters a year.
12,000 a year. In the accounts, it's 12,000 a year. Councillor Franklin, I can show you. And then by the time you employ solicitors and auditors and pay bank charges and all of those things. So yes, it would be worthwhile actually doing a more detailed comparison. But I think before we get to the ultimate decision, we should do some more negotiation with Kent Community Foundation, just to bring back a much firmer proposal. I think there are great advantages of having it outsourced. This council, we found, struggled with the capacity for the officers and the capacity for the councillors to process and go through, the numerous applications that will come in because of the size of the fund. So I think there are benefits, and I also think that all of us as councillors sitting around the table, we're all part of Sandwich organisations. We're all potentially part of the kind of beneficiaries. And whilst there's a lot of trust amongst the councillors here, let's project 20 years forward when we're not the council and there's another council. Well, wouldn't it be good to have an external fund managed in perpetuity in Georgina's name? So there are these advantages, and I'm kind of conscious of them all. And there's a lot of merit and strength, I feel, to using Kent Community Foundation. And I think if they can reduce their costs and we can compare it, it might be a more attractive proposition.
Okay, so
Sorry.
is
Any
there
comments on
anything?
that?
I think we've debated the KCF quite substantially. Are there any other points in your thought you want to?
Yeah, but yes, sorry. So I'm going through the report now, and we come to the report from Locality, who were the organisation who put us in touch with Kent Community Foundation. And these were, we found a very switched on organisation who offer a lot of good services. They only work with local authorities and town councils, and they're a not-for-profit organisation. And they basically said, we said to them, write us what's the pros and what's the cons of kind of going. So they're kind of saying, is the grant programme short-term or pilot stage? Do you need to move quickly and simply? Do you have limited staff or experience in grant making? Is your long-term goal to grow a philanthropic institution or brand? Are you planning to raise external funding? Do you need to have full control over decisions, governance and messaging? And what they're really saying in summary is that if there's a large initial endowment with a clear long-term vision and the capacity to manage an organisation, then establishing a new charitable entity, it may be justified. So that's where they're going with it.
Okay.
So there are pros and cons, and I think, you know, this is a substantial amount. It would amount to about 10% of Kent Community's current funds. So, you know, I think it's a balancing act, and that's what we as councillors need to think. But before we come to the decisions, two other things. Both Girlings, the solicitors, and Kent Community Foundation have confirmed that we can make interim grants from the fund, provided we go through a transparent process in line with Georgina's wishes. And we've got a proper application form that's checking who the monies are going to, and then it's being used for the right purposes. So we are in a position to move forward with that, and that is why I was suggesting that we might want to put aside some further money. In terms of the management committee meeting that we had on the 30th of June, we've agreed in terms of reference, and those have been kind of drafted, and we'll go back to the next management committee for approval before they come to this council. There was a grant making policy. Again, this grant making policy has been, it was initially started by our friends Levick's, but we decided it needed moving forward a bit more, so we've got a grant making policy. In terms of the co-optees, Margaret Thomas, I'm pleased to see you here in the room, because Margaret, who was a friend of Georgina's, was on the working group previously, and she was voted on to the management committee. And it was debated whether we should have a financial advisor, but it became apparent in our discussions with Locality that they could provide a very good service to us if we wanted. They could help with designing the grant application process and the grant policy and so forth if we were interested. And they work on a fee of £600 a day, which compared with a solicitor is really good. And then we also discussed the need that if we do establish a charity, we would need to employ a clerk or an administrator for that charity to do and process all of the day-to-day paperwork. The next meeting for the management committee is scheduled for September. So that's kind of an update on the report. So what we're asking you councillors this evening, please, to make a few decisions. The first one do we continue to employ levics? The second one, do we employ girlings to prepare the document? And if we do, they've suggested the wording on animal welfare and religious harmony and community development, what kind of areas that we might either want to include or kind of park. They're also suggesting, in order to get an approval from the Charity Commission, that we should upload a document setting out the changes to the original application to assist the Charity Commission. But we also do need to decide on a clearer definition of the area of Sandwich, whether that is the area, the voting area where our residents live, or whether it encompasses other things. I don't know whether the technology college, for instance, falls within in the area, but we do need to decide on that. The third decision is, do we want to appoint Kent Community Foundation to manage this, or do we want to explore what do we do with those? Do we want to explore what their service is further and bring that back? We could engage locality to help us assist with the CIO document and the grant award process, to get somebody else to take a fresh pair of eyes. Councillor Anderson mentioned the fact that KCF have a grant award process. We've only got what we've been using on the Toll Bridge Fund. So, to get kind of the best practices in that. Or do we decide on a combination of any of the above? So
I prefer that we don't then go on to the other two, that we should focus on this, or else when we go back to start again, we may have to go through them again, just to remind. So would you mind leading us through these? Because I think these are sequential in terms of the component parts of the decision.
Okay, so in respect of the interim grant thing, because this I think is urgent now, I know there are groups in Sandwich that are desperate to get some of these funds. So we do need to prepare an interim grant. Now, is that something that you're happy for either the management committee to progress, or would it be better to involve somebody like locality who are independent to assist us in that process? Because what we would like, what I'm suggesting is that if we can move forward with this quickly over the next couple of weeks, hopefully by the mid-August or the end of August, we're able to issue out a process that groups can apply to, and applications could be considered in the September meeting.
So my personal view, and I'll take some comments on that, I really don't think we can sensibly develop a process and go out to residents within a matter of a couple of weeks. We need time to do this properly. That's my personal view, and others agree with me or disagree. I'm happy to take comments on that. Councillor Murray.
Yeah, thank you. I completely agree with what you're saying, Mr. Mayor. It's too short notice. I have some concerns regarding this and the KCF and stuff, regarding CIOs for groups, especially some of the events that will run in the town. They're not CIC or CIOs. They are community-based run events by volunteers. Mm-hmm. They have bank accounts. So that needs to be looked at as well. I have some recommendations if people are willing to allow it. So I personally think for the September meeting, for the magic stuff, is we get together, we sort out the criteria, look closely at the Tollbridge and how their criteria and how they do their application processes, and then put it out there for the next meeting. Because after the August bank holiday, there's no major things going on in town except for Halloween or Easter, for Christmas, sorry. So my position would be just to take our time to look at it more closely. I have a recommendation. I'd like to make a proposal. So I propose for the first.
Sorry, one. Before we make any proposals, can we just remember that what we've got is here some very complicated
interlaying.
And I don't want to jump ahead in terms of proposals that undermine the steps we need to go through, and that's what I was trying to get across. So first step in the report is, do we continue to employ levics to establish a CIO? That is a critical decision because it then falls onto other things. So I personally would propose, and it might fail, that we do not continue to use Levix to establish a CIO, because from what I've heard from you, from another solicitors, that actually we are probably going to fail again. So I would want to propose, if somebody's happy to second that.
I'm happy to second that.
Okay, we could vote on that. So that's clear.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come back to you, Councillor Green. I'm just trying to get in, or else we'll get into a right muddle. So the second point, because we do need somebody to help us and do it, do we want to employ Girlings to prepare the CIO? If so, can I take that one separately? Do we want to, if we're going to move forward as establishing the CIO, do we want to employ Girlings? Is somebody happy to second that?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Could we vote on that?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. So this is you do want to use
yes, to
Girling.
use Girling.
Okay.
This is, have built into it an assumption that we are going to apply to the Charity Commission.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
For now,
but
yes.
the logic of that position is that we then do not go to the Kent Community
No, don't want it.
We will vote on that, Councillor Anderson. The issue is that we can do some parallel running for now because we haven't submitted the form. The issue is if we just go off in the direction of the Glarus KCF, already people have raised a number of concerns and questions that we need to explore. And we should do that in parallel of Girlings doing the work we've already asked them to start for us. That would be my suggestion why we're voting for Girlings to take over from Levix. And you can vote against that, but that would be my proposal.
Okay, but it doesn't exclude the possibility.
No,
of it.
no, but we'll come to a vote on that.
So
So
it was
that's-
Councillor Black that seconded that, isn't it? Yeah. So everyone's in support of that. Girlings, yeah. Okay.
Then a subset, but we should vote on it separately, to include in the CIO application wording on animal welfare and religious and racial harmony. Is somebody happy to propose that we include those? Councillor Fortescue, is anybody happy to second that? Councillor Gray, and if we can vote on that,
Could I ask a question?
if after the vote, but with the votes, we've already gone to the vote on it.
So Councillor, so it's one abstention, two against, two abstentions, two against, two abstentions. Okay.
Is the question still relevant?
It's just obviously that those items that we've raised were the reasons we didn't get it through last time. So if we do take those forward, we've got to make sure that we get the right wordings on those.
Yeah, so that can be flagged up with Girlings as a requirement, but it was one of our weak areas in terms of the application.
Can I just say, if you go to the report that Girlings have provided, in section D, they've suggested revised alternative wording in respect of animal welfare, in respect of religious, promoting religious and racial harmony. And, you know, some of the things, the elimination of discrimination on the grounds of race, gender, disability, sexual orientation or religion, advancing education and raising awareness, inequality and diversity, promoting activities to foster understanding between people from diverse backgrounds, cultivating a sentiment in favour of equality, diversity, racial and religious harmony. That's the type of wording which, you know, I think is difficult for us to deal with, to be honest. In respect of animals, to relieve the suffering of animals in need of care and attention, and to promote humane behaviour towards animals and to educate the public in matters. So again, I think there are lots of other animal charities and so forth.
Yeah,
you know,
thank you. So it's in
So
the
I just
report.
wanted to explain.
It's in the report. We voted on it, so we can move on to the next one, please. So the next one is a draft and upload a document to explain the changes, and I think this is a common sense thing to do. So I'm happy to propose that.
Second.
And that was it. Yeah, fully agreed. Yeah.
And to provide a clearer definition on the geographical area that is called Sandwich. So Yes.
Please, may I? I've said this all along, I'll keep saying it. I do feel for this charity, it's the Maddox charity that she lived in Sandwich, she loves Sandwich, she's done a lot for Sandwich. I do feel it should be the electoral area for the district. So it's the Sandwich North and Sandwich South only. I do feel I'm very, very strong against before that.
Councillor Morehouse?
Detail there, but not the district. The district includes Williamsborough and Sandwich Bay. And
Yep.
I know that George.
Sorry, parish.
Well, I do know
apologies.
that Georgina used to play the organ up at Williamsborough.
Yep.
You may wish to.
But just to clarify, just to clarify,
The church of Williamsborough received 115.
just to clarify that the Williamsborough Parish Church, I'm not against them, but they already received a substantial grant from her will to help them regarding their organ. So that's my opinion. The people in start other opinion, but however, I do
just
feel
clarifying
the
district.
it should be in the parish area.
Councillor Wallace?
The will benefits Sandwich Town Council, so it should be the parish of Sandwich Town Council, the geographical parish. Which does
So
not
I'm happy
include-
to propose that it is the parish
Second.
of Sandwich Town Council, seconded by Councillor
Councillor
Black, and the vote.
1, 2,
Three.
3 abstentions. Yeah.
Thank you. Right, so this is where it now gets a little bit more complicated. So this is just
So, could I just raise an issue about what we've just discussed? Because clearly the advice from Girlings is that Levix have provided duff advice effectively. They haven't taken account of Charity Commission
Comments.
policies and so on. So are we going to seek a refund from Levix or not pay them any more money? Because
well, we aren't due to pay them any more money, are
So it was agreed they would draft something for £350
we? If we use them.
but they've
We've
done the
done it.
work, obviously, but it hasn't been successful. So I can certainly take that up with them.
So we'll investigate that, but if
Yeah.
we've made a commitment, we wouldn't want to renege on the commitment. So moving on. Number 3, to appoint KCF to manage the investment grant awarding process and compliance. What I would like to propose is that we defer this to the Maddox Committee, giving time to then consider the questions that have been raised here this evening. But the question is who's going to investigate and get those answers for that committee meeting in September.
Well, I'm happy to take the lead on that, and I'm happy to receive comments from councillors outside of
Thank you.
management.
Thank you very much.
But I also feel that we should be asking them for a better offer, an improved offer.
Yes. Okay, so I would like to propose that Councillor Breen is empowered to do that and to be able to report into the NCMC in September. Is somebody have to second that?
Second that.
Sorry, is this including seeking a better
Yes.
settlement?
Yes,
That's it.
that's
Okay,
empowering
fine.
Councillor Breen to have those discussions with
Thank you.
Okay,
That's fine.
we should only be one person doing it in any case.
Yeah.
Councillor Morehouse has seconded, and if you could vote.
So 1, 2 against. Yep. Okay,
And
thank you.
Number 4 is to engage locality to assist with the CIO and grant awarding process at a cost of £600 a day. Would we have any estimate how many days they would need to do that?
I would have thought they would have done it in a couple of days, and
So
I
we
think
could-
it would be very useful to get them to do that. And whilst I heard the comment about the time it would take, I don't think it would take too long to actually get a grant application form together, to finalise our grant giving policy, and to get some criteria together and bring that to the September meeting. That could be done in a few weeks' time, instead of waiting till September to discuss it.
Yeah.
To bring forward an Aunt Sally to discuss, so that it could be issued quickly thereafter.
So I would accept that we should be working to get it to the September meeting. Again, there's a question about who would engage with locality on that and produce.
You know, quite happy.
Yeah, I'm happy to support you in terms of doing that. If everybody else is, I'm happy to propose that Councillor Breen does that.
I'll second it.
Councillor Black, and vote on that. And then we don't need to vote on a combination of any above because we've done that. Okay. Do you want to take the other two so I can have a rest now?
Well, we've kind of talked about the next one already in terms of the interim grant award process. So that, just to reiterate, we're going to get the application forms and the design criteria and the policy together for the beginning of September, and hopefully have a meeting the first few days of September before I go off on a well-deserved holiday. And that then could start the ball rolling for applications to come in thereafter. So I think we're all in agreement, and I'm going to engage with localities so that we encompass best practice within that process, and we can certainly review the application process that could be used by other organisations.
So I think, Councillor Breen, in terms of this recommendation, it is broad enough in terms of not tying us down to doing it in weeks. It's giving us a 3-month window, but the ambition is to do it much quicker. So I think we should support this as written, and then that gives the capacity to do it much quicker. Okay, so I'm happy to propose as written. Somebody have to second?
Can I amend that, please, Mr. Mayor? Just quickly. So can we, for the meeting that we have in September, can we look closely at the Tollbridge Fund application as well, see if we can bring some of that in to make it a bit more easy for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I would hope it might be done as part of the process of getting to the September meeting.
Well, that's exactly right. The paper should be published beforehand, and we can.
Okay. So I'm happy to propose. Somebody have a second?
Sorry, who's second?
Councillor Moore.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, the final one.
2 against.
Yeah, and the final one is that members will remember that at a previous meeting, we received a statement from Williamson and Barnes, the executor to Georgina's will, who were very close to finalising the account, and we had to sign off. We authorised the town clerk to sign off. Whilst Williamson and Barnes haven't finished, they are still retaining some £75,000 but the bulk of the monies have now been paid, and they have been received by the council. So the council has received £540,053.21. And in this paper, it suggests that we should send 540,000 to the investment manager. But as I say, the investment manager, the total amount of monies within the portfolio and this money above and what's cash in hand comes to, according to my calculation, £3,120,000. So at the moment, the town council was holding about £40,000, but we've obviously incurred some costs, and we're going to incur costs with buildings now and so forth. So that's going to be deleted to about £30,000. So I would suggest that we hold on to at least 40,000 more. That would give us £70,000 cash in hand to be able to make grant awards as soon as the process is completed. So I would ask people I would propose that we only transfer £500,000 to Harris Allday.
I'm happy to second that.
Yeah, and the vote on that? That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Right, moving on to agenda item 9.
Sorry.
You did against, but you said it was unanimous anyway. So.
I'll thank you.
That's all right. Lucky you. Lucky you. Okay, agenda item 9. So I'm going to introduce this report. So the King's visit to Walmer on the 10th of July was a great occasion for the Confederation of the Cinque Ports and Sandwich itself. The town was represented by the Mayor and Mayoress, the town clerk, and two community representatives at Walmer. In selecting where the King would visit, Sandwich was one of the 2 locations that was considered along with Deal. This report in front of you provides an explanation from the Lord Warden of the Cinque Ports regarding the decision-making process which led to Deal being selected instead of Sandwich. This addresses comments made by Councillor Paul Carter on Facebook, which have overshadowed this event and have impacted the reputation of the Mayor, Sandwich Town Council and others. The 3 screenshots which have been included in the report are a sample of around a dozen similar comments made, the majority of which refer to the Mayor rather than the named person. As members know, Councillor Carter is pursuing several avenues regarding this matter, and that he has reported me, as Mayor, to the police, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Information Commissioner's Office, and the Town Council itself. I have also subsequently been reported to the DDC Monitoring Officer. The explanation provided by the Lord Warden is a positive statement about the bid made by Sandwich to host the King, but explains the practical aspects that led to deal being preferred. Therefore, I am only asking members to note the explanation provided by the Lord Warden so that it can be put on record and attached to the minutes of this meeting. Councillor Carter.
Thank you very much. I will maintain a tradition by standing as we're supposed to do here. So, this King's visit is really a point of order. We shouldn't be discussing it. First of all, it's a matter of confidential personal information between the Lord Warden, the Mayor, and the Mayor-elect.
Right, so Councillor Carter, I'll ask you, I am chair here. I'm not allowing this to continue. It is not a point of order. Point of orders are about the procedure of this meeting and this report. I have had no engagement with the Lord Warden directly about this visit. So unless you stop going down that line of talk, then you need to sit down.
You did. You were there on the 19th of May.
Again, Councillor Carter.
Can I have my say?
No,
You've had your say.
You've called a point of order. You've called a point of order. I am dismissing that. Councillor Carter, it's not a point of order.
Because it is a confidential matter. That confidential matter, hand on heart, I explained.
Councillor Carter, please sit down.
No,
it is not a point of order. This is not a confidential matter.
Okay, I won't put it
please,
order.
Yeah,
I need
please,
to have my say.
No.
I need to address this.
You can only address the report.
I'm
you can't talk about things that you have reported me to in terms of the police, DDC, the Director of Public Prosecutions. Please sit down. I'd like to propose that Councillor Carter is asked to leave this meeting. If somebody's happy to second that, then he should. Councillor Morehouse, Councillor Carter, you have been voted to leave.
This is a democratic chamber. This is a democratic chamber.
Yes, and standing orders.
That I should be allowed,
Councillor Carter,
to speak to the item.
Councillor Carter,
from democracy.
Standing
what
orders.
What are you doing? You're having a dictatorship.
You're having a go at me personally. That is not acceptable under the standing orders.
That is no.
Okay.
It is a democracy. We have always been allowed
6.5.3. If Councillor Carter, if in the sorry, I'm going to suspend the meeting now for 5 minutes. Meeting suspended.
Okay, well, I'll just start again when you come back, because this is a dictatorship. If you do not allow me to speak,
allow Councillor Carter to talk to the report, but it's to the report, and the report is a statement that has been delivered by the Lord Warden. His words regards the choice of why Sandwich was not included. So, Councillor Carter.
Okay, so Matthew King, visit Deal Warmer. That's correct. There are two for this included. That's correct. Yeah, much prior preparation went into organising the event, but it was originally being organised for Sandwich and Deal. So that's correct. The announcement visit that's correct. My postings to Facebook were private postings to individuals in this chamber, and those individuals have passed those forward, so they're going to be implicated as well. I did allege, because it is the truth, the King had planned to visit Sandwich, and because there was a change in the office of the mayor, which it says here, I met with Councillor, this is part of the report, I met with Councillor Chuka, which was witnessed by the town clerk, and an option was put forward to obtain a visit for the King to Sandwich. That option was put to Councillor Chuka, and he turned it down. I'm not sure what the allegations, serious of the allegations. They weren't allegations, they were factual statements. And this hasn't affected the reputation of Sandwich Town Council. As I said, this is a personal matter. It might have affected the reputation of Councillor Chuka, but it hasn't affected the reputation of Sandwich Town Council at all, because Sandwich Town Council were not involved with the organisation of this visit. It was purely the Lord Warden and Buckingham Palace. The actual clarity of this, of the item that was presented, was actually drafted by the Registrar of the Cinque Ports, not the Lord Warden. And I checked that with the Registrar of the Cinque Ports, and he confirmed that. So, and the actual statement about the transfer or transit times wouldn't have been any different from the transit times from Walmer Castle to the areas that he visited in Deal, or the transit times to the areas he would have visited from the Guildhall. So that doesn't make sense. But basically, at the end of the day, this council was given an option to have the King to visit. That option was turned down by Councillor Chuka before he became mayor. Now, all I'm asking is, why was not the effort for something such as a royal visit pursued with the vigour that Councillor Chuka seems to be pursuing me? Because I wasn't even going to mention anything about this until Councillor Chuka put it on the agenda. But now it's on the agenda.
Now, I think we've gone far enough, Councillor Carter, so you've made your points and now you're turning towards me. So just a couple of responses before we move on. Firstly, the Facebook posts that have been posted are all in the public domain. Nobody,
now,
no,
you published them.
they're all on
Yeah,
Facebook. Councillor Carter, you have made your statement. All comments, which total somewhere in about 12, are all available to see today. I can see them, others can see them. So that's number one. And I don't mean others in this room, I mean others across Sandwich, and some have seen it and have made comments. That's that. Secondly, I was not involved in any discussions. I didn't know who was visiting. I didn't know it was a royal visit. I knew it was a VIP visit, but that was the extent of my knowledge. I was given an option in April of standing down as mayor. My reaction to that was on a democratic basis. I was told I had to stand down. I said I would not stand down because I was entitled to stand for mayor. It was nothing to do with a visit. That turns out to be the King. So
You're making up now. You're not
right, we'll
talking to the
I will just leave it there. I've made my 2 points. I'd like to, Councillor Wells?
I think everything Councillor Carter has said is contradicted by the response from the Law Warden or the Registrar. Once you post things on Facebook, the whole world can see them. It might be your personal Facebook account, but you're talking about the council, you're talking as a councillor, you're attacking people in the council. And, you know, really, I'm really disappointed with your behaviour over these past few months. It's brought the council into disrepute.
How are you to address me like that?
Right.
I've done 18 very long years. I did my apprenticeship to get into that seat.
Right.
I did 18
Councillor
years.
Carter.
I helped this council through COVID.
Councillor Carter,
and
would you
everything
please sit
else.
down? We're
I
going
should
to
be
stop
due
the
some
debate. We're
Instead
going to
of
stop
bullying,
the debate.
the
We're going
bullying
to stop
and the disrespect
debate.
that I'm getting from the current mayor.
Right.
I wouldn't be here
Right, okay.
tonight.
I think
if
we've
he
gone
had put
too
this on
far.
the agenda.
Can I propose understanding orders that we note this report, we note the contents, and that we move on to next business?
Here, I'll second that. That shouldn't have even been on the agenda.
Thank you.
One against.
Next time you put something on the agenda, Councillor Hugh.
Please refrain. Please refrain, Councillor
Talk
Carter.
to me
Do
beforehand.
not
Talk
make
to me
any
beforehand.
assertions or threats
Don't make
towards
any
me.
more big mistakes.
Goodness gracious me. Right. Can I first of all apologise to anybody who's watching this? Can I also apologise to other members in this room? I do have limited control. I should have total control as chair, but it's obvious I don't. So I apologise for how that played out. Councillor Marie.
Can I just make a point on camera for everybody else, okay? We are elected members of this parish. We represent the parish. This infighting and stuff on the camera is not boding well for the council. Also, the fact is, to point, sorry, Mr. Mayor, I have to say this, I have been approached by the national press today regarding this matter, and I've declined to comment. And I'm sure, hopefully, everybody else in this room, if you do get done by the press, that you decline to comment as well. As I said, you are elected members of this council. The infighting has got to stop. Let's move on now. It's done. It's dusted. We will get along and get within some means and work together to make this town a better place for us to live and work in. Thank you very much.
I agree.
Don't put these on the agenda.
Right, okay, we can move on to agenda item 10, the Highway Improvement Plan for Sandwich. I think the town clerk's going to talk to this. Attachment 11.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so I'm sure you all recall, it seems like a long time ago now, but we worked on a draft highway improvement plan following the consultation that undertaken with residents. And myself, Councillor Breen and the Mayor have worked on a draft highway improvement plan that's before you this evening. Since this was published, there has been a resident from Sandown Road as well who wanted his comments added to the debate this evening. Would members consider Sandown Road, the 20-mile-an-hour zone being extended to include Sandown Road? So I just wanted to capture that comment as well. So you'll see that the council did agree the following priorities. Number one was to address all complaints related to safety at all 4 schools, which is Sandwich Junior, Sandwich Technology, Sir Roger Manworth and Sandwich Infant School. Seek the relocation of the Guildhall bus stop stand B, and also to seek additional speed signs on High Street, New Street and Woodensborough Road. And as I say, that latest comment relates to Sandown Road. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Comments, Councillor Black.
Yeah, we are a bit overtaken by events about Sandwich Technology College. As we know, that there's proposal to build 45 houses there, have the exit and a care home, and the exit straight onto Deal Road. Unfortunately, we're unable to discuss the implications of this as far as traffic was concerned at the planning meeting. A number of people have written to the district about this. This completely blows this suggestion out of the water because the atmosphere, the location and the topography and the traffic management are completely different now from when this was written. I'm afraid this is no longer valid.
So could you explain that a bit further, Councillor Black? Because this was raised as an issue about the amount of traffic and the speed of traffic in the areas of each of the schools, including the...
Yeah, I'm going to refer to Sandwich Technology.
Yes, so is it not likely to worsen?
It will worsen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think I would argue it still stands because we need to include it.
If we believe it stands, then I think it needs to be beefed up considerably, because the entrance that is proposed is very close to the school exit.
Yeah.
It takes no account of the bus stop.
Yeah.
And it takes no account of the parking and all the bollards that have already been erected, presumably by the council, by Kent County, or maybe by the school, I don't know. And you're going to get a lot more traffic trying to do a right turn, just as people are trying to come out of the school.
So I think what we need to do is add that in as a potential future problem, because actually, obviously, it's planning application at the moment. There is no developer there appointed. The work hasn't started. So there's a lot of time still to burn, whereas this is the hit for this year. So I think we need to add this in as another consideration alongside the tech school. Yeah. Councillor Murray.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. It's a good report. It's been worked closely with obviously the Somerset Council and the town team as well. I do believe there's one thing I'd like to add on regarding addressing the related to the safety of schools. So the front entrance, or where the buses pick up and drop off the kids at the Sandwich Tech School, is currently 40 miles an hour. That needs to be lowered down to at least 30 miles an hour, if that can be considered on for the report, please, as well.
Thank you very much. Councillor Carter.
I just wanted to declare an interest. I'm a senior school governor of the technology school.
Okay. So on the basis that we're accepting the report as it stands, with 2 comments added in regards to tech school, but also broadening to include Sandown Road within the detail to make sure that's included. If we're happy to do that, does somebody have to propose? Second, Councillor Morehouse. Thank you very much. Right.
I'm abstaining because of my
Yes.
declaration.
Okay.
Right, agenda item 11. Hopefully less controversial. An elephant on the quay.
Not in the room.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's a proposal. What we're seeking today is to get the backing of Sandwich Town Council in principle to put an elephant on the quay. This is a sculpture which is made by a cooperative in Kenya and would total cost at the moment, delivered equivalent to free on deck, is probably about £6,000. We are not seeking funds at all at the moment. We're just seeking the principle. Because unless we get the principle, we're not going to be able to take this any further with Dover District Council or a tourism authority. The reason for this is there's no one focal point on the quay, and there's nothing to identify Sandwich differently from anywhere else. Some places have got things like Dad's Army statues there. Other places have got Paddington Bears. There's a whole range of different places have got different icons. We have nothing in Sandwich. This, we believe, would be an extremely good icon. It is made out of recycled steel. Steel is reasonably robust. It's not easy to set on fire. So it should be proof against most kinds of vandalism that we get. I said most kinds. If you take a blowtorch to it, maybe. This is what we believe is really important. If we can start doing this, we can start building up the use of the quay by tourists. We can also have a single focal point, whether we take it into some other publicity and so on for Sandwich and have this as a kind of tourist symbol for Sandwich and so on. We don't know. We need to take that further.
Unless we've got opposition to the proposal, I'm happy to propose.
Can I ask a question?
Nice question. Yeah.
Can I ask a sensible question, please? Yeah. Councillor Black, could I just ask about the matter of the transfer of the quay, which may happen within the next sort of couple of years? Have you taken that into consideration for this?
No, we haven't, because at the moment the quay is DDC.
It is.
If it becomes ours, then fair enough. However, we still would need planning permission. So regardless of who the owner is, the quay is planning permission.
Yeah.
And then also getting a proper base for it and the maintenance. So the ownership of the key is not particularly important at this stage. If it's South Town Council, of course, you'd be endorsing it
Exactly.
unreservedly.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Timothy. I was just going to say, I think time is of the essence because I think it's part like the Compass Road, it's the levelling up
Yeah.
fund.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think we should just go for it.
Propose that we
Yeah, I
accept the
propose it.
recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah, second?
Yeah.
Second. Can we go to vote on that? So I don't really want to, I'll
That's the one.
change everybody's moves.
No, I was just going to say, it says nearly life size, 2 meters. And that's not nearly life size.
Can I just say that's my height? So
Elephants are
Okay.
3 or 4 meters.
Well, what we're doing is here, we're agreeing to
principle.
the principle.
Yeah.
I've got a proposer, I've got a seconder. If we could go to a vote. I don't think we need to mull it over too much.
One abstention. Is that three abstentions? Three.
Councillor
Thank
Fortescue? You abst-
Yes, I'm voting.
you. Voting, okay. So, sorry, Mr Mayor,
So
I
we've
missed
got-
who proposed that.
So it was proposed Councillor
Thank you.
Franklin and seconded by Councillor Marie.
Marie, thank you.
Vice versa.
Okay, or vice versa. Okay, let's keep in the meeting, please. Agenda item 12, operations team proposal and employment strategy. Members are asked to consider a report from property manager that details an employment strategy for the operations team for the Guildhall. The Human Resources Committee recommend and support the principle proposed with a caveat that a review is undertaken after 12 months. Town Clerk.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, so there was quite an involved debate at the Human Resources Committee, because obviously we have been in periods of, let's say, where situations where we have not got a active operations team, so we've had to seek agency and contractors as well. So I've worked with the property manager. We've come up with a proposal that we think would really work to sort of secure a bit more of a long-term strategy for the operations team. The report was taken to the HR committee on the 7th of July, and as the Mayor has said, the members there supported the strategy that was subject to the following 3 points. The initial period of 12 months with a review being undertaken then. Contracts agreements prepared and signed for self-employed contractors under the WIN when it's needed, which is when it's needed method, and clarification on whether the 2 years a self-employed individual could be granted employee rights under employment law. So just to clarify, that is not the case. 2 years, a self-employed individual doesn't automatically get employee rights. But it does have to be very clear that these self-employed contractors, when it's needed method, they are not dictated to when they attend, what they wear. It's literally you're giving a contractor the option. There is this work available, so we can't dictate to somebody to be here at a certain time. But it's working very well at the moment, as we've seen demonstrated with the markets, and that person does fill in other times as well for us when needed at the Guildhall. So the property manager's gone into a lot of detail there. I won't read all that because I'm sure you've read it. There is an appendix 1 as well, an employment strategy that's added to the report. And that goes into a lot of detail about the old model, current model and the new model proposed. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to take this. Thank you.
Councillor Black.
Yeah, the difficulty you've got is making sure that the person actually does other work, because inevitably this is a fairly steady stream. People will hang on to it. So you're really going to have to chase up to make sure that they are doing other work. You of course run the risk that they can say, no, I don't fancy coming in today. You're on your own, Jack. But that's the risk of it. They may not get employee rights, but there is a separate set of rights called worker rights, which are not nearly as onerous as employee rights, but I suspect they may well get worker rights. And of course, we must be aware that should the Inland Revenue or HMRC change their rules, we could get in a bit of a nasty shock. But every person who uses this type of contract is at that risk, but it is not risk-free.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mannix.
Just with regards to employment or self-employed, liability and insurance, who covers that?
So if they're working here for us, like the markets, we've got the insurance cover. So that's, covered by us.
Councillor Marie?
Yeah, I'm happy with these. I was quite sceptical at the HR meeting, as you well knew about the win scenario. The person in question, I won't name names, the person in question is a very long-standing member of the council, has been working on and off the council for a number of years. The person's very well known in town. If I'm happy to propose, I'd like to propose that we go ahead with these with the reference of A for the win contract.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm totally against this window. I think we will properly employ people with a standard address. I mean, we've got people coming for weddings or they're coming to look around the building. I mean, I do know the chap is very nice, he's very helpful. But I think we've got to set the rules, we've got to set a standard. We can't just have anyone just floating in and out. Like Councillor Black says, you might have a wedding on and suddenly he said, oh, I'm busy, I can't make that. Then you've got to get an agency person in. I think we need regular staff and regular hours and we set the standard because they're representing us, aren't they? They're representing Sandwich. It's so important when people come in, even to look at the Guildhall, the courtroom for a wedding, they just have a wander around. We're very lucky that we have staff available, but they are the front of the house, aren't they? So I think we need a properly employed person, and I think it's taking so long to get this staff put in. I mean, we still talked about town sergeant, aren't we? Part-time town sergeant. It's ridiculous how everything's dragging its heels. But I do think we should have our own staff, Mr. Mayor, who covers ourselves.
That's a valid point. Do you have any response to that, Town Clerk?
Only that it's very difficult with operations team to actually recruit people that want to do the hours that we're looking for. Some of it's very antisocial, for instance, the market, setting up in the winter months. So the way this using contractors is really, really working for us. And I just don't think it being realistic, you're going to find people, to do antisocial hours, to do, sometimes it's just a few hours that's needed. We don't necessarily need anyone that's even 20 hours, it's very difficult.
I'd just like to say that previously the town sergeant, the caretaker, was also the property manager. Why doesn't what's the hours of the property? Is he flexible hours? Can he cover? Does he just do 9 till 5? Does he just do 5 days a week? Does he come in and lock up in the evenings? Perhaps we've got to look at the property manager's role. Perhaps he's got to be more flexible. Because I think it's wrong. Anyway, I'm totally against it. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to add that the property manager is extremely flexible. He's coming in, unlocking toilets for us at the moment. He's coming in on weekends, so he's extremely flexible, Councillor Franklin. And please, I think you should take that remark back because
he works flexible hours.
I know, but he is working over and above what's expected of him, so he's very flexible.
So Councillor Marie has proposed a recommendation. If there's somebody happy to second that, is there any other elements to the recommendation?
I have a question to raise, a sensible one.
Okay.
Yeah. The only other downside of this, it's very sensible because we are saving money and it is a flexible alternative. The only downside to this, having spoken to the staff here over 18 years, is, and I think Councillor Franklin would say the same, is there are a lot of customs, traditions and knowledge about this building. It's a very big building, and where the staff keep changing, it's very difficult to pass that knowledge on to the new people. And I'm not just talking about which key goes in which lock, but it's about what celebrations happen, how things are set up. So for instance, a history society, we have the jury room set up in a certain way, and Woody sets it up because he knows how to set it up. But if he wasn't here, somebody else came in, they could just set it up how they wanted. So you will lose that continuity of ability.
So in terms of the recommendations, at the moment we already employ a permanent member of staff within this resource. The recommendation here is to employ another permanent member of staff plus one WIN contractor. We've been using agency contract resource over the last 18 months, maybe longer, on and off. So this is rationalising, and was mentioned that actually is also financially economic for us as a council. So the proposal is and we can vote on it and we can decide, is that we agree to employ one new part-time member of staff who's permanent, and one part-time WIN contractor for a 12-month period as proposed by Councillor Marie. If anybody's happy to second that, Councillor Morehouse, if we could go to a vote on that.
Yeah, one abstention. Yeah, up to abstentions. Thank you. Oh, sorry, is that 3? Yeah, 3. Thank you.
Wishing thank you.
I don't
And
know.
Councillor Black abstained as well.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. No, that's 4.
I'm Councillor Miles.
Oh, sorry. Are you abstaining? Yes.
No,
fine.
No,
No, it's
it's
green. I'm voting for.
Yes,
So
I've
3
got 4.
abstentions.
I've got 4
4.
abstentions.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Agenda item 13, which is attachment 14 in the pack, Kent Pensions Fund consultation for proposal for pooling contributions. So if the town clerk would give a brief overview of this, I think there's a lot of detail which hopefully we've all read. This is being driven by the fund scheme itself.
Yeah.
So ultimately the decisions will be taken by them rather than individual parish councils.
Yes.
But it's about us proposing how we want to be involved. But ultimately, our proposal may be overridden by the fund scheme itself in any case. But
Yeah.
Town Clerk.
Thank you. Yes, so the Kent Pension Fund are consulting with all the members of the pension scheme, of which there are 61 town or parish councils that are participating in the fund. And I think some of this is being driven as well with the local government reorganisation. So they want to, proposing to pool the funding so that each council, instead of paying its own individual contribution rate, pays a pooled rate across the councils. Now, there are lots of other opinions across the local parish councils. I've spoken to 3 or 4. Some people are in a position like Sandwich where the rate isn't actually very high. Others are in a position where the rate is high. And so for some councils, it is actually going to be a benefit to pool it because they're going to probably gain from it. I think in Sandwich's, your position here, it's not particularly going to be beneficial. I think it will mean a little higher. I don't think anything too drastic, but what they can't do at the moment is tell us what that pooled contribution rate would look like because they haven't prepared the valuation results. So it was just to give you all the facts. I won't read all that information to you. They did actually provide a report as well, which I hope you've had an opportunity to read, which was that consultation report. So hopefully you had an opportunity to read that as well. And so there is a lot of information there. And basically they're just consulting with all the councils to see, if councils have an opinion. And basically it was to look at the options of the pooling for the future of the local government pension scheme.
So the Town Clerk's advice is that we should
It's the future.
Yes.
Yes.
Propose that we pull future service only as our preferred option.
Yes, and that's purely because your contribution rate is not very high. And that way it would protect you a bit from, the potential of increase on the rates.
Retro.
Yeah.
Councillor Black.
Yeah, 2 questions about this. Can I just confirm that all members of the LGPS get the same benefits regardless of the employer contribution rate?
So it depends on the salary.
Obviously, it is salary driven because it'll be 60th or 80th accrual rate. But do they get the same accrual rate?
Yes.
Regardless of whether their employer is paying a higher rate or a lower rate?
Yes, and it depends on, because people that have been in the service pre-2014, so there's all sorts of scenarios. But yes, the basic benefits are the same for everybody, and that includes death in service payment as well.
Because that's the first critical thing. If that's the case, then fine. I'd had a quick look, and although they are unable to give us the contribution rate, the general contribution rate, the difference between the rate they used last time and our current rate is 1.8%. And I think you sent me a figure that quoted our pension cost of the order of 30,000.
So I quoted you, didn't I? The monthly cost. Monthly cost. Yes, for all these 7 employees that are in the current
so that's
scheme.
36k a year. I really think we are doing a little bit of penny pinching by not going in with this pooling.
Yeah, that's absolutely your
Okay,
call.
thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. My age right now. When we had the Tollbridge fund, when we had the Tollbridge collectors, for some reason, I think they were paid into the Kent pension fund.
were they?
And I remember we had to top it up because suddenly they didn't have it, they'd retired. I mean, we still had to keep paying that. Well, they did about 20 or 30 years longer after they retired. And we've always kept ours separate. But, you know, if we keep, you know, always nice to have your options open, isn't it, to investigate what it's worth.
Yeah.
So I think you find all the school staff, they're all pension funds. Yeah.
Any comments on that, Town Clerk? So we don't have an option to.
Yeah, you can go for the full pooling option, which is, I think, what Councillor Black is suggesting. You certainly can, yes.
You can do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
If you choose.
That could, and that I'm not saying that that's what will happen, because obviously they're asking all 61.
And of course, you
Yeah.
can get stung by that because it depends on whether they jack it up considerably,
Yeah.
20%.
So as it stands on the recommendation is that it's pooling for the future service only.
Mhm.
I'm happy to propose that if somebody's happy to second it, and then we'll see what the vote second from Councillor Carter. If you could vote on that.
Yes, some reluctance.
Okay, so well,
Okay,
phew,
thank you.
unanimous.
It's
Marvellous.
agreed.
We're ending on a high. In terms of getting even higher, celebrating the 800th anniversary of the first mayor of Sandwich, or recorded mayor of Sandwich. That's the key word to slot in.
Yes.
Councillor Marie, are you happy to talk to
Yeah,
this?
I will do. Yeah. So after a 6-hour history lesson from Councillor Franklin,
Only
to
six.
and from Brighton Sea, we went for the Blessing of the Seas with Councillor Ripley and Mr. Mayor. We decided that we were going to look into doing something for the anniversary. So it will be, bear with me, I need new glasses. The 800th anniversary of the first recorded mayor of Sandwich, which is Hayles de Kingsington. Is that it?
Helios de Kingston.
There you go. See, I should have listened to Terry Palmer on Friday at the Dead Supper, so he was much more better than I am. So we're looking for support from the council to organise some range of events for next year, from a large parade around the town, incorporating the Sandwich Medieval Centre. I know Mr. Mayor has spoken to Sandwich Tech School regarding making a giant tapestry regarding all the recorded mayors of town, which will be put in the museum, and also the museum are looking at doing a temporary exhibition for some of the recorded mayors of Sandwich. We also, so this is, if approved, it says that work will be undertaken to develop more detailed proposal, and that the first to be taken to the Townscape Heritage Committee to consider before it's pressed to full council. The anticipated timeframe for doing this will be ready on the fresh draft of a detailed proposal for September meeting, the Townscape Heritage meeting. God, I've got a lot of work to do. The mayor, obviously, the mayor, past and present mayors that are sitting in the chamber will be allowed to take part, and also help us to organise something for the event. We're looking at, because it's a busy time in May. The first recorded mayor was done in November. It was done in November. Bear with me. It says it here. So the town was run by the mayor and 12 jurats, and it's elected yearly the Monday after the Feast of St Andrew, which is 30th of November. We're not looking at that because it's too cold. So we're going to be looking at saying so sometime in June. So we've got a bit more leeway, and also incorporating, obviously it's a busy time from us for May because we have budgets and we have mayor makings, etc. So I'm looking at June time, so we can incorporate other events, other community events that help out with doing events in the town. That's it. Thank you very much.
We're talking to the medieval people that organised the 1547 commemoration.
Yes, I remember that because I was a giant. I was John Drury that day, so I remember that day very well.
And whilst 800 years ago is before the medieval centre's focus, this is about a sequence, not just
about the ages of the mayoralties over the ages. Yeah.
I'm just going to say, I think it needs a committee set up, a festival committee, a pageant committee. So we incorporate all the clubs, all the schools, the whole community of Sandwich can contribute, so we can have a fantastic procession like they did in 1925. So perhaps we'll get art on the telly and get it properly filmed.
Did you
I've
attend
already had
that
with
one?
The lady with the horse.
Did you? Okay, so have you got another?
Yeah, I'm happy to, I agree with Councillor Frank said, I'm happy to propose, I'm going to say it now, and a lot of people are going to start huffing, it's a working group. So we have a working group that speaks directly to the Townscape and Heritage Committee, bring their work, they get working together as soon as they can, we bring a report to the Townscape and Heritage Committee, but then that's discussed for reports to full council, if people agree.
Is that acceptable, Councillor
Well,
Mullin?
totally, yes. It's, just to add, there might be an expectation that the council will fund a lot of this rather than the organisations coming to the council to beg for money. I'm using the word beg sort of in a very loose
A
sense.
bit like you do.
Okay. Councillor Carter.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to determine exactly what Councillor Mallet was saying. Were we going to allocate any funds, because we usually set the budgets in October, November?
Yeah, so what we need to do is scope out what it is we plan to do. Within that will drive out a cost, and then that can go into the budget setting process for next year. So it actually falls reasonably well in terms of timings, I think. Get the principal agreement in terms of what we're going to do, and then take the costings towards the budget. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So you've proposed it.
I'm happy to second it.
We could vote. I'm voting green.
Thank you.
I was already leaving.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, so date of next full council meeting, 29th of September. Thank you and good night.
Get a month off.
Well, sorry, we will have an extraordinary meeting short for the HR appointments. You missed that at the start.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Meeting closed.